Inspector Lestrade, as Sherlock says, they let him out of the department again. Jeffrey Jones.
Thank you.
A little bit of niceties here. Lestrade, not Lestrade.
Yeah, it was a choice. In the Basil Rathbone, Nigel Bruce version of the films of Sherlock Holmes, he was Lestrade. But for some reason, the choice was made to make it Lestrade.
You know, it's almost a shock to meet you and discover that your accent is an American accent. We forget that you're American-born.
What? Je suis from Buffalo, New York.
Do we not forget this? Yes.
Yes, we do.
We see you so many times, however, in roles, yeah, with accents and dialects. That's a part of your stock and trade, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's something that I did a lot of English plays when I was mainly doing theater. Since the American theater was dominated by British works, it was of necessity that one used a British accent. And I went to school here in London, to the London Academy of Music and Dramatic Art.
Yeah.
Yes, Lambda. So I do have some background in all of that.
In fact, in that background is an amazing contrast of medicine, America, theater, England.
Just a Renaissance kind of guy.
What about that? Does that speak of two different interests in you, or was one just a passing thing? The medicine, that is.
No, I actually, you know, surprisingly, a lot of, I think there's probably a lot of similarity. I don't know. When this first came up, it turns out that a lot of people who were planning on being in medical school also were interested in theater. Lawyers, doctors, and actors seem to come from the same kind of interests. I don't know, maybe it's partly being, theater requires that you work with others. Doctoring doesn't necessarily, but you are interacting with patients. I don't know what the common concerns are.
Well, in both, possibly, you do some dismembering.
Yes, that's true. You dissect the
Was that
script.
pretty ghastly stuff? Did you get in that far?
Oh, sure, yeah. Naturally, biology is pretty easy. Yeah. I mean, it's not great to dissect a frog or a bird or maybe something like a fetal pig, whatever those things are, but it's interesting to see how it all works.
Any of that you miss, I assume.
No, I think I made the right choice. I'm glad that I didn't. I certainly, at that point in my life, when I was going to college, really was not looking forward to 4 years of medical school and 2 years of residency and the, continuing on like that. And actually, some of the people who were in my class who became doctors subsequently regretted it.
So many of us really first took note of you in Amadeus. The Joseph, too, was that refined, aristocratic air. And then Howard the Duck not long after it. What a contrast. Do you like that? Do you like it that way?
I do, yes. I do like to have a contrast in... It makes it interesting for me. I mean, I do it. You don't do... I'm not doing what I do just because I want to be famous. That's not the... that's not the reason. You do it because you enjoy doing it. The byproduct of the whole thing is that you be involved in projects that are good, and for your own good, that they be diversified, and that your interest is engaged in whatever you're doing. So that's...
In fact, maybe it's difficult to place your face as well as your voice because of the varying roles, and maybe you prefer it that way.
Fine.
Nice, huh?
I think so, yeah. Maybe sometime I'll change my mind, but at the moment, I think that's the most useful. I think it's better. It's, Dustin Hoffman is a wonderful actor, a great character actor. He's very famous, and you can't get over the fact that he is Dustin Hoffman doing this thing. I don't know what I mean by that exactly, is that I think that it's probably better, just in terms of acting, that you can go walk out in the street and not be instantly recognizable to everyone, that you can sort of be in a place and be like anyone else and observe and do and be and have fun and live a life and not bring the baggage with you of all the parts that you played every time you do a role.
Jeff, we have a couple of minutes left. Could you briefly take us onto the set of 221B? Everyone will be examining that set through a lens, as it were. It's such a famous place. Where was it? Where was that location?
Well, there were various locations. The exterior was just outside of the Houses of Parliament, where many of the members of the House of Lords and the House of Commons especially live. Actually, the House of Commons. It's all within the ring of the bell, supposedly. There's a buzzer system that calls the members from where they stay into the House to vote, and this was one of the houses, the exterior of the House. The interior was, if I can remember, I think it was in the same area but not the same house. We didn't actually get to use sets. These were, in fact, real interiors. It wasn't intended that way, but there was a set decorator strike, which means the set builders.
Really?
So suddenly we were without the sets that we were intending to use at Pinewood Studios, and we suddenly did the entire thing on location, virtually
Difficulties
everything.
in lighting as a result?
The English crew was wonderful, absolutely wonderful. They were the best of the lot, I think, probably here. They did an extraordinary job. Alan Hume was the lighting and cameraman.
I'm curious, on the whole, wintertime, rainy seasons, would you rather be in Buffalo or here?
Let me tell you, winter in England is 9:30 in the morning, maybe. The strong sun, if it's going to come out that day, just struggling above the tops of the trees, and it just sort of hangs there like a big fried egg in a pan until about 2:30, and it starts to sink, and at 4 o'clock it's dead dark.
So even the Buffalo weather looks good by comparison?
I have to admit, yes, it does.
Jeffrey Jones. They let him out of the department again, and we're both at London talking about Without a Clue. I'm John Tibbetts for KCTV5.